The Galactic Council hall was silent, the kind of silence that came only when something truly terrible happened. Across the chamber, thousands of alien eyes stared at the central holomap. It showed Earth, small, blue, and glowing, surrounded by red enemy markers. They were moving fast. Too fast. Ambassador Kethar, a scaled being from the Velori Empire, whispered, "They're attacking Earth." His voice trembled. No one would dare. But someone did. Unknown ships had appeared on the edge of the solar system. Their size dwarfed anything the Council had ever seen. Each ship was armed with weapons strong enough to burn continents. The invaders didn't send a warning. They didn't send demands. They just opened fire. The Council watched as the first wave of plasma torpedoes hit Earth's orbit. Explosions lit up the screens. Satellites burned like fireflies in a storm. For a moment it looked like humanity was finished. But then something strange happened. From the shadows of the moon, hidden structures began to move. Massive doors opened, revealing rows of black metal ships. They had no markings, no flags, only the symbol of a single planet, Earth. A deep, steady voice came through every channel, speaking in English. "This is Admiral Reyes of the United Terran Fleet. To all invaders, you have crossed the final line. Operation Dawnfire is now active." The alien councillors exchanged looks. None of them had ever heard of an Earth fleet. The humans were supposed to be primitive, fragile creatures just beginning to explore space. Yet now they were launching warships the size of cities. The invaders continued their assault, but the human ships responded with shocking precision. Laser beams cut through the darkness, striking with impossible accuracy. Missiles left glowing trails that split into hundreds of smaller warheads, tearing through enemy shields like paper. The battlefield lit up with blinding light. Inside the Council chamber, chaos spread. Some shouted for the Council to intervene. Others whispered that it was already too late. On the giant holomap, Earth's defense network came alive. Satellites linked together, forming a massive web of coordinated fire. The planet was no longer just defending itself. It was striking back. "They were waiting," murmured Councillor Turin. His three eyes blinked slowly. The humans were waiting for this. One of the enemy ships broke apart, scattering flaming debris across orbit. Another tried to retreat, but was caught in a burst of electromagnetic fire from a human station hidden behind Mars. The invaders' communication lines went silent. Static filled the room. No one in the Council spoke. Every delegate could see what was happening. Earth was not falling. Earth was fighting. Admiral Reyes' voice echoed again. "We warned you. You watched us suffer, and you did nothing. But today, you will witness what it means when humanity fights for home." Cameras focused on a massive ship moving into formation. The Invictus. It was unlike any other vessel ever built, its hull black and glowing with red lines of energy. It moved with deadly grace, cutting through the enemy fleet like a predator among prey. The Council watched in horror as the Invictus unleashed a supercharged rail cannon. The blast ripped through an alien dreadnought, splitting it clean in half. The explosion was so bright that even from the Council's distant observation platform, it burned through the holograms. Kethar swallowed hard. "They said humans were dangerous," he whispered. "But I never believed it until now." The chamber lights flickered from the energy readings. Reports flooded in. Enemy fleets destroyed, survivors fleeing toward deep space. Humanity's counterattack was not just powerful. It was precise, merciless, unstoppable. Down on Earth, the night sky was filled with streaks of fire. People in cities looked up, thinking it was the end, not realizing it was their defense forces turning the tide of war. The Earth Alliance command centers buzzed with calm voices, soldiers and engineers working together with machine precision. Every council member watching felt the same emotion. Fear. Not fear of the invaders, but of the humans. No one had expected this. For centuries, humanity had been treated as a minor species, clever, emotional, unpredictable, but harmless. Now the galaxy was watching as humanity revealed its true face. The battle went on for hours. Flames spread across orbit, and wreckage drifted like metal rain. By the time dawn broke over the blue curve of Earth, silence had returned to space. The alien fleet was gone. Only debris remained. The Council's communication channels were filled with static and whispers. One voice said, "They survived." Another answered, "No, they conquered." At the center of it all, Earth stood shining, scarred but unbroken. The planet that the galaxy once mocked had faced extinction and turned it into victory. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the Invictus, staring at the fading light of battle. His voice was calm as he spoke to his crew. "Send this message to the Galactic Council," he said. "Earth does not ask for help. Earth does not kneel. And Earth will never forget who watched and did nothing." The message was transmitted, reaching the Council within seconds. Every alien delegate read it. Every one of them felt the same chill. Humanity had arrived, not as victims, but as a power the galaxy could no longer ignore. The smell of smoke and melted metal filled the command deck of the Invictus. Human ships drifted through the wreckage of the first alien assault, their hulls scarred, but still shining in the sunlight above Earth. Admiral Reyes stood tall, his face calm, his eyes cold. "Don't celebrate yet," he said quietly. That was just the first wave. Across the void, the second alien fleet appeared. This one was bigger, 10 times larger than before. Each ship carried weapons that could erase continents. The Galactic Council watched the transmission with dread. Councillor Ketho's claws scraped against his desk. "They're sending the Omega Armada," he whispered. "They're breaking every rule of galactic law," but no one in the Council moved to stop it. They simply watched, frozen by fear and shame. Down in Earth's orbit, human defense stations powered up again. Energy cores hummed, and the magnetic shields around the planet began to glow. On the surface, cities went dark as all power was diverted to the planetary grid. Across mountains, deserts, and oceans, human installations came alive. Silos opened, platforms rose from the ground, and rail cannons pointed toward the heavens. The fleet commander of the alien armada sneered as his ships locked targets. Primitive creatures. "Burn them!" Thousands of plasma lances fired in unison. The sky above Earth turned red, but the humans were ready. The Invictus moved first. Its shields expanded outward, forming a massive energy field that absorbed the first barrage. Behind it, hundreds of smaller ships, corvettes, destroyers, drones, moved in perfect formation. They fired simultaneously, a dazzling storm of blue light. Alien ships exploded one after another, their shields collapsing under human firepower. It was not luck. It was strategy, every move calculated by Valkyrie, the AI command system running Earth's defense. On the Council's massive viewing screen, the scene looked unreal. Earth, the small, unimportant world, was fighting off the greatest armada in galactic history. And winning, Councillor Turin leaned forward, his voice trembling. "Their weapons are outdated. Those plasma cannons shouldn't even pierce our alloy tech." "How are they doing this?" Another councillor whispered. "They adapted. They learned everything. From the wars we let them suffer alone." As the battle raged, the alien commander shouted, "Deploy gravity bombs!" A dozen massive spheres dropped from orbit, glowing red-hot as they fell toward Earth's atmosphere. Their energy readings were catastrophic, enough to shatter continents. But before they could detonate, a burst of light erupted from Antarctica. Hidden beneath the ice was an enormous structure, the Aegis Array, humanity's last defense line. It fired a beam so bright that it cut across the entire sky. The gravity bombs disintegrated mid-air, vaporized before reaching the planet. Every human on the surface saw it, a line of fire tearing through the heavens, and they cheered. For the first time in history, Earth wasn't just surviving, it was fighting back. Admiral Reyes watched from the bridge. "Status?" he asked. "Array stable." "Enemy losses exceeding 40%, replied a young officer. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. Reyes nodded. "Good. Then it's time to strike." The order was simple, counterattack. From behind the moon, a hidden swarm of human drones launched. They moved like a storm, fast, silent, deadly. The aliens tried to track them, But the drone's signatures disappeared every second, shifting frequencies faster than scanners could follow. Within minutes, the swarm reached the enemy fleet and detonated microbombs along their hulls, breaching armor, destroying reactors. The council's hall filled with noise. Delegates shouted over one another. "This is impossible. Humanity cannot possess this technology. Someone must have helped them." But no one had. Humanity had built it all in secret, beneath the shadows of a galaxy that ignored their cries for help. The alien flagship tried to retreat, engines burning bright, but human ships chased it relentlessly. The Invictus accelerated, pushing its reactor beyond safe limits. "Lock main cannon," Reyes ordered. "Target flagship core." The helmsman hesitated. "Sir, that's a suicide shot. Do it," Reyes said coldly. The rail cannon charged, humming with power. The light inside the barrel grew until it filled the entire bridge. Then it fired. The shot tore through the alien flagship's shield like paper and pierced its core. The explosion was blinding. The shockwave sent debris scattering across orbit. The Invictus rocked violently, alarms blaring, but the crew held their ground. The alien commander's last words were lost in static. From the council chamber, the view of the battle froze. The flagship gone, its signal vanished. Silence filled the hall again. "They did it," someone whispered. "The humans destroyed an Omega ship." Councillor Kethar looked pale. "If they can do that," he said softly, "they don't need the council anymore." As the battle ended, Earth's orbit was littered with debris and drifting fire. The surviving alien ships fled, disappearing into hyperspace. Humanity didn't chase. They didn't need to. The message had been sent loud and clear. Reyes looked out through the shattered observation window of the Invictus. The planet below glowed blue and calm again, like nothing had happened. He took a deep breath. "Send word to all surviving fleets," he said. "Recover what we can, then prepare for retaliation." "They'll be back." "Yes, sir," his officer replied. "And the council?" Reyes gave a tired, bitter smile. "They'll keep watching, just like always." Far away in the council hall, that was exactly what they were doing. The delegates sat frozen, watching the final transmission. The words from Earth's command echoed through their speakers. "Humanity will not be erased. We will not forgive, and we will not fall." Every race in the galaxy understood what that meant. Earth had entered the war, not as a victim, but as a storm. The galaxy would never be the same again. The wreckage of the alien fleet still floated above Earth like a graveyard of steel and fire. Human rescue shuttles moved among the twisted remains, collecting survivors and data fragments. On the bridge of the Invictus, Admiral Reyes stood silently, staring at the wreckage through the cracked viewing glass. The stars beyond looked dim, clouded by drifting smoke and debris. His second-in-command, Commander Alina Ward, approached. "Sir," she said softly, "we've confirmed that at least 100 enemy ships escaped into hyperspace. Their trajectory leads beyond the outer colonies. They'll regroup," Reyes nodded slowly. "They'll be back. And next time, they won't underestimate us." He turned toward the navigation map. The hologram of Earth glowed brightly at the center, surrounded by red marks, possible enemy rally points. "We'll be ready," he murmured. But deep beneath the surface of the moon, something else was already preparing. For years, the Terran Alliance had hidden its greatest secret there, the Silent Fleet. Born in secrecy and funded by the sacrifices of generations, this fleet wasn't listed in any council database, nor known to any alien power. Its existence was a myth, a rumor dismissed as human arrogance. Now it was about to become real. Inside a massive lunar hangar, rows of ships slept under dim lights. Each vessel was sharp-edged, black as night, and shaped for stealth. Their hulls shimmered with adaptive armor, technology that could bend light, making them nearly invisible even to advanced scanners. And at the center of the fleet stood the largest ship of them all, the Eclipse. Admiral Reyes entered the hangar, his boots echoing against the cold metal floor. The technicians saluted as he passed. "When was the last test flight?" he asked. 2 months ago, sir," a young engineer replied. "The Eclipse can cloak entirely for 16 hours without energy trace. Reyes smiled faintly. That's long enough. He ran his hand over the ship's hull. It was smooth, alive with hidden power. You were built in silence, he said quietly. Now it's time to speak. Meanwhile, light years away, the surviving alien commanders gathered in a hidden sector. Their holograms flickered across a dark council room, filled with tension and rage. They destroyed our fleet, one roared. They used forbidden weapons. They used what we forced them to create, another growled. We attacked first. A third slammed his clawed hand against the table. You don't understand. They were ready. They knew our tactics, our weapons, our shields. How? No one had an answer. Only fear. Back at the Galactic Council, panic had replaced order. Reports of the battle spread through every colony and empire. The humans had done the impossible, not just surviving, but defeating a fleet that no other race would dare challenge. Entire star systems began to question their alliances. If the Council could not protect its members, what good was its authority? Ambassador Kether stood in the middle of the chamber, addressing the frightened assembly. We watched Earth burn and we did nothing, he said bitterly. Now we watch again as they rise from the ashes. I tell you this, if humanity decides to strike, not one of us is safe, the councillors shouted in disbelief. Some demanded war, others pleaded for peace. But in truth, none of them had the courage to face Earth again. At that same hour, Earth's skies glowed with thousands of tiny lights, the return of damaged ships, the flicker of repair drones, and the launch of the silent fleet from the moon. The eclipse led the formation, its engines burning a faint blue before vanishing into stealth mode. Commander Ward stood beside Reyes on the bridge of the eclipse. Destination, sir? Reyes stared into the stars. Sector X-47. We'll find where they're hiding. The fleet disappeared into hyperspace, leaving no trace behind. Hours later they arrived, a cold, empty region of space, filled with floating asteroids and dead satellites. At first it seemed abandoned. Then the scanners flickered. Ward frowned. Contact, multiple heat signatures, minimal communication. Looks like a forward base. Reyes leaned forward. They're rebuilding. Through the viewport, hidden enemy stations came into view, massive platforms powered by dark energy cores. The aliens were gathering reinforcements, hundreds of ships under construction. But they didn't know they were being watched. Reyes smiled, slow and cold. Send in the Ghost Squadron. Small triangular ships detached from the eclipse. They moved like shadows, silent and invisible. The alien radar showed nothing. Within minutes, the Ghost Squadron infiltrated the area, planting microbombs across key reactors. Ward's voice was calm. Bombs set. Reyes raised his hand. Light the void. The stars flashed white. In an instant, the entire enemy base erupted into a storm of fire and debris. The explosions rippled across the asteroids, turning them into molten fragments. The alien reinforcements were gone before they could even power their shields. The Council received the footage hours later. No one spoke. The humans had struck deep inside enemy territory, and no one had seen it coming. Councillor Turin whispered, "How do you fight ghosts?" Ambassador Cathar lowered his head. "You don't. You pray they never come for you." Back aboard the Eclipse, the crew watched the explosions fade into starlight. Reyes said nothing. He simply looked at the screens, his face unreadable. Finally, he spoke. "Transmit this message to all human colonies," he said. "Tell them Earth is no longer on the defensive. From this moment on, humanity will strike first." Ward hesitated. "Sir, the Council won't approve this." Reyes looked at her, eyes cold as the void. "The Council never approved anything when we were dying. They just watched." The Eclipse turned slowly, its engines glowing brighter. One by one, the ships of the Silent Fleet followed, forming a massive formation that stretched across the dark horizon. Their mission was clear, no longer survival, but dominance. For the first time, humanity wasn't just defending Earth. They were claiming the stars. The void between the stars had never felt so alive. Human warships drifted like shadows through space, their hulls black and silent, reflecting no light. The Eclipse led them, its commander, Admiral Reyes, standing at the center of its command bridge, watching the glowing dots on the holographic map. Each red mark represented an alien world, once confident in their distance from Earth. But not anymore. Humanity had crossed the threshold. Status? Reyes asked quietly. Commander Ward looked up from her console. Fleet ready! Fuel reserves stable. Stealth systems holding. All ships await your command. Reyes nodded. Then begin the next phase. The human fleet vanished from normal space, slipping into hyperspace corridors faster than any alien technology had ever achieved. The silent fleet was no longer myth, it was the storm that haunted the galaxy's edge. At the Galactic Council, tension had turned into dread. The massive chamber, once filled with debates and laughter, now echoed with silence. The delegates sat frozen, staring at the latest report, a transmission intercepted from the destroyed colonies. Entire outposts of the aggressor species had gone dark overnight. No signals, no distress calls, only empty static. Councillor Keithar stood at the center. It's them, he said grimly. The humans are striking back. One alien delegate slammed his claws against the table. They're committing genocide! Keithar glared back. You called it war. Now you don't like your reflection. The council fell silent. Every species present had either ignored Earth's pleas in the past or exploited its weakness. Now the humans had no interest in diplomacy. In deep space, the Eclipse exited hyperspace near a dying star. Before them drifted a fortress world, Zalthar Prime, one of the enemy's strongholds. It was ringed with defense platforms and planetary shields glowing red like molten glass. Reyes studied the planet's defenses. They've learned from their losses, he murmured. Good, Ward frowned. You sound pleased. Reyes gave a faint, cold smile. The smarter the prey, the more satisfying the hunt. At his command, the silent fleet deployed its next weapon, the graviton nets. Invisible fields expanded through space, bending gravity itself. Enemy stations began to drift off course, their orbit collapsing. Pilots screamed through comms as their ships spun uncontrollably into each other. The humans didn't even fire. They simply watched as the enemy's own technology tore itself apart. Target the shield generators. Reyes ordered. Locked, replied the weapons officer. The Eclipse's main cannons roared to life, unleashing beams of pure kinetic energy. The planet's shield rippled, glowed, then shattered like glass. In the blink of an eye, human strike ships descended through the atmosphere, moving with eerie precision. They didn't destroy cities. They hit command centers, communication hubs and weapon silos, cutting off the enemy's head before touching its heart. From orbit, the attack looked like lightning crawling across the planet's surface. Within hours, the fortress world went silent. On the council's screens, that silence was deafening, Councillor Turin whispered. We should stop them before it's too late. Ketho's expression hardened. Stop them? With what army? Every fleet we send they'll destroy. They've surpassed us. Another delegate cried out, but if we don't intervene, they'll take the whole quadrant. Kethar turned away. And maybe they deserve it. The council erupted in chaos again, voices of fear, guilt, and denial blending into noise. But one truth was clear to all. The humans were no longer part of the council's order. They were something else entirely, something beyond control. On the Eclipse, Reyes stood before the star map. The conquered worlds blinked one by one, turning from red to blue. Commander Ward approached slowly. Sir, do you ever wonder if we've gone too far? Reyes didn't answer immediately. He looked at Earth's distant symbol on the map, that small blue dot surrounded by cold stars. Too far? He repeated softly. They came to our home first. They burned our cities, slaughtered our people. The council watched. We begged for help and they watched. No, this isn't revenge, Commander. This is correction. Ward lowered her gaze. And if we become what they were. Reyes finally looked at her, eyes sharp but tired. Then history will decide who the monsters were. But it won't be written by them. He turned back toward the stars. Prepare the next jump. Hours later, the fleet reached another enemy stronghold, a system of twin suns and a chain of industrial worlds. The aliens had built a massive shipyard there, protected by hundreds of defense turrets and planetary shields. It was meant to be impenetrable. Reyes simply said, "Deploy Valkyrie." The AI's voice echoed through the ship, calm, female, and emotionless. "Authorization confirmed. Initiating solar inversion." On screen, a coded sequence appeared. The twin suns began to pulse unnaturally. The AI had hacked into the system's magnetic cores, reversing their polarity. In moments, the star's energy surged outward in a violent wave. The entire shipyard vanished in a burst of white light. When the light faded, the humans watched in silence as a second sun dimmed, leaving behind only floating ash. "No cheers, no celebration, just silence," Ward whispered. "A million lives, Admiral." Reyes closed his eyes. A warning. The Council received the transmission minutes later, entire chambers filled with panic. "They destroyed a star!" one delegate screamed. "They're insane." But Cathar spoke quietly. "No, they're awake." Back aboard the Eclipse, Reyes stood alone, watching the quiet star field. The human fleet drifted nearby, victorious but solemn. His voice was steady when he finally spoke. "Send this message to the galaxy," he said. "Humanity does not seek peace. Peace died when our cities burned. From this day forward, every world that raises a weapon against Earth will face extinction." The message spread faster than light, across every colony, every outpost, every council chamber, and somewhere, deep in the void, a new fear took hold, not of invasion, but of humanity itself. The tide had turned. The hunted had become the hunter. The galaxy burned. Where once there had been trade routes and colonies filled with light, now there was only silence and wreckage. The silent fleet had passed through, precise, unstoppable, merciless. Every system that had raised arms against Earth was now dark. The stars themselves seemed dimmer, as if mourning what had been lost. On the bridge of the Eclipse, Admiral Reyes stood with his hands clasped behind his back, staring at the faint glow of a dying world below. It was another enemy capital, the last stronghold of the coalition that had dared to attack Earth. Smoke plumes rose through its atmosphere like black rivers, curling into the void. "Transmission ready?" "Sir," Commander Ward said quietly. Reyes nodded. "Patch it through." A flicker of static filled the air before the image of the alien high command appeared, a trembling council of generals and ministers, their faces pale with terror. Reyes' voice was calm, his words sharp as a blade. "You came to Earth as conquerors. You killed without warning. You called us primitive. You called us weak. Tell me, how does it feel to fear the weak?" One of the alien generals stammered, We surrender." "Please, Admiral, we'll withdraw from every system. Just spare us." Reyes tilted his head slightly, eyes cold. "You think surrender erases the blood you spilled?" Another alien shouted, "We were following orders." The Galactic Council approved. Reyes's expression didn't change. The Council watched. "You obeyed. Humanity remembers both." He gave a simple gesture. The communications line went dead. "Prepare the strike," he said. Outside the viewport, the Eclipse's shadow stretched across the planet. Drones swarmed down through the clouds, their metallic wings reflecting the fires below. They didn't drop bombs. They carried sonic disruptors that silenced every enemy defense system in seconds. Then came the rail bursts, precise beams that cut through mountains and oceans alike. In less than an hour, the world fell silent. From orbit, it looked peaceful again. Ward swallowed hard. "Another world gone," she whispered. "How many more, sir?" Reyes didn't answer. His gaze remained on the fading planet. "As many as it takes." Far away, in the Galactic Council chamber, panic reached its peak. Ambassadors shouted over one another, voices filled with desperation. "They've destroyed 5 systems. They're erasing entire civilizations. We must act." Cathar, now one of the few counselors who still spoke with reason, slammed his staff on the floor. "And how will you act? With what fleets? With what courage? You watched them die once before, and now you watch them rise. You made them this way." Tarin's voice trembled. "If we do nothing, humanity will burn the stars." Cathar looked into the center of the chamber where the image of Earth flickered. blue, quiet, unyielding. "Maybe the stars deserve it," he said softly. The chamber went silent. Back aboard the Eclipse, the crew received a transmission from Earth. The face of the United Terran President appeared, a tired woman with grey eyes, her voice steady but heavy with weight. "Admiral Reyes," she said, "the Council has called for negotiation. They're offering amnesty, technology, and an equal seat for Earth in the Galactic Charter. They fear us. They want peace." Reyes studied her expression. "And what does Earth want?" The President hesitated. "Peace, Admiral. Enough of this war. Enough death." For the first time, Reyes' composure cracked. His eyes softened for a moment, just a moment. "Peace," he repeated almost to himself. The word sounds strange now. He turned away from the screen. "We'll attend their meeting." A day later, the Eclipse arrived at the neutral world of Varin. The Galactic Council had gathered, every surviving empire represented, each leader guarded, each one afraid. As the human warship descended into orbit, the alien fleets withdrew to a respectful distance. Reyes stepped into the council hall. The sound of his boots echoed through the grand chamber. Every alien delegate turned toward him. Some couldn't meet his gaze. Councillor Kethar spoke first. "Admiral Reyes, humanity has proven its strength beyond doubt. The galaxy wishes for an end to this bloodshed." Reyes looked around the chamber, the same place where humanity's pleas for help had once been ignored. "You wish for peace now because your fleets burn," he said. "Not because you've learned anything?" Turin raised a trembling hand. "Perhaps, but even vengeance must end somewhere." Reyes' jaw tightened. He looked up at the vast hologram of the galaxy spinning above them, the countless stars, the countless worlds. Then his voice dropped to a near whisper. "You all feared what humans might become if pushed too far. Now you've seen it. But make no mistake." He leaned forward, eyes sharp as steel. "This is not the end. It's the warning." The room froze. No one dared to speak. Reyes turned to leave, but Kethar called out, "Admiral, will Earth accept the seat on the Council?" Reyes paused. His answer was quiet, but it echoed through every chamber of power in the galaxy. "Earth doesn't need a seat. The galaxy already sits at our feet." He walked away. As the Eclipse left orbit, the Council descended into chaos again. Some called for peace treaties. Others whispered about assassination plots or plans to flee to unknown space. But everyone knew the galaxy had changed forever. In the months that followed, human fleets withdrew from conquered worlds. They left behind silence. No occupation, no tribute, no messages. Just the memory of fire. On Earth, people returned to rebuilding. The cities lit up again. Children laughed and skies cleared. But far above in the dark, the fleets remained, watching. One night, Admiral Reyes stood alone on the observation deck of the Eclipse. Looking down at the planet that had once been called fragile, Ward approached quietly. "It's over," she said. Reyes shook his head. "No. The galaxy will remember what happens when you corner humanity. They'll call it wrath, vengeance, madness, but we'll call it survival." He looked out at the stars one last time. Cold, endless waiting, "And if they ever come again," he whispered, "they'll learn that Earth's wrath never sleeps." The camera of history panned back, the shining blue sphere floating against the blackness, surrounded by silent ships like guardian angels. The war was over, but the legend had just begun. The war had ended, but peace was not the same as silence. The galaxy was quieter now, too quiet. Entire sectors once filled with chatter, commerce and pride, now echoed only static. The stars that once belonged to countless empires now seemed to orbit a single truth. Humanity had changed everything. On the dark side of Mars, a colossal human station drifted quietly above the red planet. Its name glowed faintly on its hull, Vigilance. Inside, rows of officers worked with precision, their eyes fixed on holographic maps of the galaxy. Red zones marked fallen empires. Blue zones marked systems that had sworn loyalty or fear to Earth. Admiral Reyes stood at the window of the observation deck, hands folded behind him. The reflection of distant stars glimmered in his eyes. He hadn't slept in days. Peace looked good on paper, but the silence that followed victory felt heavier than war. Commander Ward entered, her uniform crisp, her expression steady. "Transmission from Earth, sir," she said softly. "The President requests an update on the reconstruction of the outer colonies." Reyes didn't turn. "How many are still uninhabitable?" 37 confirmed, she replied. "Radiation zones are clearing, but we've lost millions permanently displaced." Reyes exhaled slowly. "And the refugees?" "Settling in the lunar stations?" "Most are, afraid, sir. Even of our own fleets." He finally turned, his face unreadable. "Afraid of us?" Ward nodded. "They saw what we did, Admiral. They saw what humans became out there." Reyes looked back at the stars. "Then they finally understand. Down on Earth, the planet was healing. Forests grew where craters once stood. Oceans shimmered again, reflecting the light of a calmer sky. Humanity's cities, rebuilt with alien alloys and hybrid technology, stretched higher and shone brighter. Yet beneath the progress lay unease. People whispered about the fleets that never came home, about the admirals who disappeared into the outer systems with entire armadas. The galaxy called it the human silence. In the Galactic Council chamber, things had changed too. The grand hall that once towered with arrogance now felt hollow. The number of councillors had shrunk. Many species had vanished into isolation. A few had joined humanity willingly, seeking protection rather than power. Ambassador Kethar stood alone at his post, addressing the assembly. His scales had dulled with age and exhaustion. "We have lived to see our own myths burn," he said. "Humanity showed us what it means to survive, even when survival looks like vengeance. But we must ask ourselves, did they win a war, or did they end an era?" The question hung unanswered. Light years away, aboard the Eclipse, Admiral Reyes stared at a different kind of battlefield, one of politics, whispers, and shadows. Reports came daily, alien ships patrolling too close to human borders. Colonies declaring independence, fearing Earth's growing power. Old enemies trying to rebuild in secret. Humanity's victory had not ended fear, it had multiplied it. Commander Ward joined him on the bridge. "New intelligence, sir," she said, handing him a datapad. "Council reconnaissance near the Perseus Rim. Multiple signals. Unknown ships?" Reyes studied the readings. "Council forces." "Not exactly. It's fragmented. Mixed tech. Human and alien design combined." Reyes raised an eyebrow. "Someone's learning too fast." Ward's tone darkened. "Sir, what if they're our people? The ones who didn't return?" Reyes set the pad down. "Then they're about to remember why we lead, not follow." He gave the order, "Prepare the fleet." Silent jump. No transmissions. Moments later, the Eclipse and its escort ships slipped into hyperspace, leaving no trace behind. The galaxy barely noticed as humanity's wrath stirred again. Meanwhile, on Earth, the President delivered a speech broadcast across every known channel. Her words echoed from orbit to colony. "Humanity stands united not in conquest, but in remembrance. We do not seek to rule the stars, but we will never kneel again. Let every world remember what happens when Earth is threatened." Crowds cheered, but beneath the noise there was fear. Soldiers stared at the sky, knowing fleets like the Eclipse still roamed unseen. Children grew up hearing stories of the war as bedtime tales, of Admiral Reyes, the man who turned planets into legends and silence into warning. Back aboard the Eclipse, space shimmered as the ship emerged near the Perseus Rim. The sector was empty, too empty. Then sensors flared. Ward shouted, "Contact!" Multiple ships decloaking, 50, maybe more. Reyes leaned forward. "Identification?" Her voice faltered. "Human signatures, sir, but modified." The screen flickered to life, showing ships that looked both familiar and alien, human designs twisted with foreign energy cores. Their leader's voice crackled through the comms. "Admiral Reyes," it said, calm and steady. "We are not your enemies. We are what you left behind. The forgotten." The transmission revealed a man in a dark uniform, his insignia stripped, his eyes cold. "You taught us to fight. You showed us fear. Now we've learned something else. We don't need Earth. We are the children of the void." The bridge went silent. Even the ship's hum felt distant. Ward whispered, "Sir, they're human." Reyes' jaw tightened. "No," he said softly. "Oh, there's something new." The rebel ships powered their weapons. Reyes straightened, his voice firm. "Charge the main cannon." "Full output." "Sir, if they're using human tech, we'll be fighting our own people," Ward warned. Reyes looked out into the darkness. "No," he said. "We're fighting what war made of them." The stars lit up again, bright, merciless, and cold. The first shots of a new war streaked across the void. Back on Earth, the people watched the sky, feeling the rumble of faraway thunder. They didn't know that the battle had begun again, not between humans and aliens, but between two versions of humanity itself. In the Galactic Council, whispers spread like fire. They're fighting each other now. The humans are divided. Perhaps their age of wrath is ending. Kethar only shook his head. "You don't understand," he said quietly. "This isn't their end. This is their evolution." The final scene unfolded in silence, stars burning, ships colliding, and Earth glowing faintly in the distance. Humanity had won the war for survival. Now it was fighting for its soul.